We're going live. Good morning. Welcome, everybody. We'll just wait a few minutes because there's nobody here yet. We've got, there we go. Good morning. We've got 4 people viewing, I think, at the moment. So we'll just wait a few more minutes. I'll introduce myself. I'm Eloise Heppel. You'll have heard from me with response to everything with admissions, and I will pass you over to Jane in a moment. We'll just wait for a few more people to join. Or maybe we should carry on. Right, let me introduce everybody. We have got Julie Sale, who's a nursery teacher, Tessa Davey, who's Deputy Head Pastoral, and Jane Crouch, Head of Prep. And I shall pass you over to Jane now.
Hello, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our virtual open morning. It's such a shame that you're not here with us physically at the moment, but what is wonderful is that we are able to welcome people on site, and that gives parents a really good flavour of the prep school. It's such an important decision, handing your treasure over to a school, and so important that you're able to actually come in and get a sense of the place, feel the school, feel the life and energy within it, and also meet the key staff and also see the children as well. You may be hearing some background sound. That's the children playing. And we're also getting ready for our foundation day, which would have been happening a week tomorrow, but unfortunately, because of restrictions, we're not able to go with that. But we're doing that virtually. And so there's some filming and music going on. Music's such a strength of the school. That's all going on outside my office. So you may hear children singing. I think that's one of the most beautiful sounds in the world, hearing children singing. You may hear that throughout this session, or you may not, depending how rehearsals go. Anyway, welcome to our open morning. And this is a really good opportunity for you to ask any questions you like. Now, for those parents who have already signed up, children are registered, and your daughters are coming along in September, you will already have received the parent handbook, and there's plenty of information in there. But we're also very aware that we have new prospective parents, people are just those initial thoughts considering Headington Prep School. You may be on the call as well, so with not as much information as is held within the handbook, obviously some on the website, but this is an opportunity to have a chat with us, any questions. And we've aimed to cover the core ages. So Julie, who has introduced herself as introduced by Eloise as nursery teacher, Julie has amazing experience, not only through early years nursery reception, but above as well. So she's a key person within the conversation. Then, of course, Tessa, who heads up our pastoral care. And Tessa teaches in Key Stage 2, so she's one of our Year 6 form teachers, teaches English across 5 and 6, but other subjects as well. So, have any questions? Shall I head back to Eloise, who's in control? Eloise, back to you.
Yes, we have a couple of questions here, which is great. So the first one, my daughter has an anxious couple of years. Let me just see if, there we go. Has had an anxious couple of years. How do you help children with these kind of issues? And I believe from a couple of emails I've had as well, I think children joining the school as well after COVID and lots of ups and downs, what's in place really, I think, for them going forward.
Shall I take that one? So that is totally understandable that you are not alone in that. It has been for many children and adults, an anxious couple of years to do partly with COVID, but just uncertainty and not knowing anything is absolutely certain. And I think for the children, particularly those coming in new to the school, that is something we are very familiar with, that everybody has at some point been a new child and is familiar with those feelings of anxiety about the unknown. So we're very tuned in to those children, and we have a very fluid school community where we have new pupils joining throughout the year. So many of our girls are extremely familiar and empathetic to those who come in and are feeling a little uncertain. We have an excellent pastoral care system where the form teachers know the girls inside out, and they are absolutely tuned into the girls' needs. They are the first port of call. The communication amongst the staff is excellent. So on a daily basis, we are sharing information in passing or formally about the girls and their well-being and their academic progress and the whole package. So the information about the children and where they're at is really high up on our list of important things. And then we are able to try and meet those needs as they arise. So we have all sorts of things in place, but our fundamental sort of priority is to create a sense of belonging for the girls, to create as much certainty for them as possible so that they know the clear expectations, the boundaries, so that everything is something familiar to them and they can feel more secure in that. So that is really how we try and approach those kinds of issues. If it escalates and becomes something that is more concerning and we need some external help with, we do have a school counsellor who's fantastic. And through a referral process, we can actually send children to her for some sessions. So we have a range of pastoral tools in place, and the girls will feel eventually very well looked after and secure at the prep school, I hope.
If I could just come in at that point, that was a very full answer from Tessa. A few years ago, we were inspected, and inspectors come, they spend time with the girls. It's important for them to hear from the girls themselves, because we may say this is how it is at the prep school, but actually the girls' experience at grassroots level will be very different. And the lead inspector came back and said the key words that are coming back when we talk to the pupils are that they feel happy, which is wonderful, and that they feel safe. And that's something that Tessa mentioned, that they're very clear about boundaries, but it's so important for the pupils to feel safe, because that's when they relax. And then that's key to them really in their general well-being. But our pastoral system is overseen superbly by Tessa. And as she said, lots and lots of things in place to support the children.
Brilliant, thank you so much. I'm just going to put the next question up, which is, you mentioned singing. Can you tell me a little bit about all the different music options we're complete to beginners? Who would like to take that?
Do you want to start off in early years, Julie, what the girls have?
Yeah, absolutely. So in early years, I mean, we are singing every day, all the time, whether it's singing about coming and sitting on the carpet first thing in the morning, or whether we're singing our Days of the Week song, or whether we're singing numbers as we line up. So it forms a massive part of every day. And singing is so important, particularly in early years, because having a sense of rhythm and also being able to discriminate different sounds when you're singing actually really helps with then going on to learn phonetic sounds. So it's really key. We are really fortunate we have in Ms. Brown a specialist early years Key Stage 1 music teacher who also provides some of the extra support in our early years department. And she runs for the reception children a composer club. They've just written a song themselves, which is going to form part of our end of year, end of peer show, which we're putting on next week. And we also sing for big events like Mother's Day, Father's Day, the Nativity, obviously at Christmas time. So the girls have lots of opportunity to sing, both just within their daily routines and to actually perform as well. Yeah, so sing all of the time in early years.
Brilliant, thank you. Tessa, would you like to talk about slightly older children?
Yeah, absolutely. So as they move up through the school, they continue to have specialist music provision. Once a week, they have music lessons, class music lessons, all the way through, and they do a range of things. They learn instruments. They all have keyboard sessions. Then they have taster sessions for different instruments. Mrs. Everts, who heads up the music department, is excellent at giving that exposure to girls about what is involved in music, the entire range from individual instruments to orchestral groups. And she also provides ensembles we have a ukulele group, and we have a guitar group, and we have an African drumming group, and we have all sorts of ensembles and small groups, as well as individual lessons. So we have about 16 different visiting music teachers who come in and offer one-to-one lessons as well. For those lessons, they're paid for, and the girls come out of some of their class time for that, and that is all on a rotation so that they don't miss the same lessons again and again. And the communication is excellent, so the girls know exactly what their timetable is ahead of time, and they get themselves to and from their specialist lessons within the building. And then there are choirs that go on, Key Stage 1, Key Stage 2, and split across those as well. There are all sorts of things that go on in the music department. And as Mrs. Sale was saying, there is opportunity for informal singing regularly and formal performance, as some of you might see in the Foundation Day virtual service as well. So I think that pretty much covers it, James.
Yeah, sorry, Eloise. I just forgot to say as well that in reception they have their 2 30-minute lessons a week with Miss Brown, and one of the things they do within that is begin to learn how to play a keyboard. So they've got this dogs and birds program, which helps them to start to learn simple notation, and that's been really successful. That's run for a number of years. Okay.
Great, thank you. Mrs. Crouch, did you have anything else you wanted to add to that, or shall I move on to another question?
Yeah, we just really to echo all that's been said. One thing that Mrs. Everts has introduced into Year 2 is she's organised a carousel of 3 of our visiting music teachers who will spend a certain time with the girls, a number of weeks, on one instrument family. So they have exposure to 3 different instrumental families of instruments, obviously, which helps the girls to make a decision, an informed decision, when they come to join Year 3. That's when the vast majority of our pupils start to learn a musical instrument. However, a number do start in Year 2, and we go even earlier as well. It's just giving them a love of music and making them aware of all the opportunities on offer. Plenty of opportunities for the girls to perform. So even with our pianists, we have our piano concert, and that start, even children in Year 1 will come and play, and everything we do within that is obviously enjoyment for the girls, and also confidence to stand up and perform. But yes, music is in the blood here in the prep school. Another thing, Mrs. Evans, she's so busy, she's got so many ideas, incredibly dynamic, and really good liaison with the senior school as well. So for example, our school orchestra also joins up with the senior school orchestra, truly aspirational for our pupils, because then they're playing pieces with amazing musicians who are grade 8 or going on to follow music professionally across at the senior school, all playing together. And those occasions happen during the school year. It may be it may be the ensembles, it may be that the guitar ensemble, the prep school guitar ensemble joins with the senior school guitar ensemble, and they will put on a performance together as well. So it's really rich, dynamic, and fantastic to listen. I feel very proud when I listen to the girls performing and seeing the pleasure they get from that as well.
Brilliant, thank you. I'm just going to put the next one up. We've got a few more questions after this as well. So for children coming into school from a public school, currently Year 2 and 4, how difficult will the entry assessments be in order for them to get a place at Headington Prep? Shall I just explain the process, and then maybe you can go on to the academics? So just a sec, put myself on the screen. So the process is slightly different for both of those year groups. For Key Stage 2, we do formal assessments. Over this past year, we've done some within the school and also some online via Google Meets. Hopefully from next September, we'll be able to just invite children back into school and run it as we've done previously. These assessments will be in English, maths and non-verbal reasoning, and they will spend a morning or possibly a day at the school, and they will have a little interview and do a bit of creative writing as well. We don't encourage them to prepare for this. It's an assessment on what they've learned so far and to sort of assess their potential in the future. So, but we can talk further about that if you'd like any more details. For the early years and for Key Stage 1, traditionally we invite them in for a taster sort of morning where we can see them within the setting with their peer group, with the classmates that we have in their lessons. Again, this year it's been a slightly altered, a slightly different way of doing it. So what I think I'll do is pass it over to Julie, who can explain a bit more, and then possibly Jane or Tessa regarding that.
Yes, so we're in the last, as Eloise said, in the last year or so, we've had to do Google Meets with children and families at home, which has been really interesting, very, I think, a little bit difficult for both parents and also for us, because, you know, the natural environment, we want, as Tessa said earlier, we want children to feel safe and secure. And it's a very strange experience to meet somebody on a screen for the first time and not be able to really see each other's body language, not to be able to sit and chat and share a book together. So hopefully, as Eloise said, we will return to having children actually visit. We want to build a partnership with you as parents as well. So obviously the first visit into early years, parents are very welcome to stay either for the whole visit or just for part of it. And it would just be a short visit. And then we would do some sort of settling in activities, maybe look at some puzzles together or share a story. Nothing formal for early years age children. Really for us to get to know you and your child and see how they settle. And obviously it's very different if a child's arriving into nursery and they're not yet turned 3 to if they're coming into our reception class, where perhaps they would be able to stay for a short time with the current nursery cohort, the children they'd be moving into reception with. So yeah, it is very, as Eloise says, it's very informal and it's about getting to know you and your child.
Brilliant, thank you. Tessa or Jane, would you like to answer for the sort of Key Stage 2?
Yeah, I'm fine too. I am conscious that there are some more questions to come, so I'll keep it brief. But just to say and reiterate from what Julie said, that it is primarily a getting to know you session. So it really is an opportunity for the girls who are coming in to assess the school as much as it is for us to assess them. And it is an opportunity for us to see them mingling with our existing girls and seeing how they might fit in to the ethos of the school. And of course, the assessments won't be anything very unfamiliar to them in their current setting. They're not terribly long, and hopefully they find the atmosphere quite safe and secure, and they don't feel too intimidated by it. I hope that helps.
Yes, I'll be there to greet them as well. Big smile on my face. Following on from that, we have one about homework. So I wonder if you could maybe just touch on that.
Yeah. So homework, we really don't want to be too arduous. It really is simply an opportunity for parents to see what the girls are learning in school, and for the girls to have some opportunity to revisit and reinforce what they've been learning in class. We have a schedule that really allows girls to have the busy lives that they do have, and parents equally. So we don't have a system where homework is set one night and it's due in the following day. We do usually give at least a week for the girls to try and time manage themselves. If they do have a busy sporting schedule or extracurricular activity schedule, then they can try and manage it so that they can fit it into a time that is convenient for them. our homework activities only should last in upper key stage two, roughly 40 minutes per task. And it ranges from key stage 1, obviously 20 to 30 minutes per task. And there are really only about 2 or 3 of those a week. So it's not terribly arduous. And the communication is usually through Google Classroom, but also through the link book lower down. I think that answers that.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. I've got one for Jane now. I'll just pop you on the screen. I understand that school, how many of the children go on to the senior school and how is that managed? Do they have to sit entrance exams?
So the vast majority of the pupils from the prep school do go across to the senior school, and it's a seamless transition. We have fantastic relationships with senior school staff. There is no entrance exam because we monitor the girls really carefully as soon as they start, just seeing how well they're responding to the learning, next steps, any support that needs to be put in place, any extension. So they're really, really carefully tracked and the learning adjusted to make sure that they are making really good progress. There's no need for them to sit an entrance exam. We really do know them. And for their well-being, why put that pressure on a child when there's no need to do that? Absolutely, they have to get used to working within an assessment with a set time allocation, so they know how to prioritize questions, they know how to pace their activities. So we do give them tasks, so they're practicing those skills, but that then doesn't determine their success to senior school. It may be for some of the girls that the senior school isn't the right place. It is a large school, it's fast pacing, academically selective. So for a small number of girls, perhaps in year 5, I will have a conversation with the parents to just say, we need to be thinking, we'll keep a really close eye. Sorry, I've got a bit of a dry throat, on how your daughter is progressing. But let's look at alternatives, because the worst thing is to put a child in an environment where they don't feel confident, where they don't feel safe, where perhaps they're seeing it's just getting increasingly difficult for them, and they're having to pedal really, really hard, and they're exhausted. And that's when we may have concerns just about their general well-being. So it's important that the children are in a setting where they will thrive. And for the vast majority of the girls here, we know that they will thrive in the senior school. It's a superb school, a natural stepping stone from the prep school.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. We've got another one. Are there any safe private bus routes for children travelling from Bicester, which I can take? Yes, there are. There's a brilliant network called the Oxford School Bus Partnership. I've noted down your name and I will send you all the details. It's also in the parent handbook, which I can send you. And there's a network of about 12 routes spreading all over Oxfordshire, as far as Reading even. So there's invariably some way of travelling up to school quite easily on a bus. So I can happily send you all of that information. And then we have one more question before I think we'll probably have to tie it up. It all looks really fun from the videos I've seen, which is great. But could you tell me a bit about how much of a focus there is on the academic side of things? Who would like to answer that? Dave?
Shall I start? Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. Oh, wait. There we go. Julie.
Yeah, I think just from an early years perspective, I think, our foundation stage, the very first step, as Tessa said, is about making the children feel safe and happy. So that is our personal social side is the first focus. And then in terms of academic, it's the majority for us is learning through play and following the children's interests and developing their learning habits. So we don't just talk about, what we're learning, we talk about how we're learning. So about persevering and collaborating, working together. And we talk about that even with the very youngest of our learners. And then it's the prime areas. So it's our literacy. We have a really strong phonics program that starts in nursery, and obviously maths. They're the two prime areas that we would then begin to learn. We've got a program called Cornerstones, which is a topic-based program. So everything is interweaved, and we do really interesting topics, things like are all carrots orange? And they're not, if you didn't know. And what lives in a rock pool we're doing at the moment. So, and the children go on a learning journey with us. Through that, we have big displays of how they're learning and what they're learning. And we're fortunate enough that because of the great child to adult ratio we have, we can really follow their own interests within those topics. So yes, that's my side of it. I'll mute myself.
Right,
guesswork. Who's going next?
We do have a very strong academic focus at Headington, but it works very much alongside the personal development focus, as Julie was saying. We really do believe that unless a child is feeling happy, they're not going to thrive and not be able to concentrate and do their best academically. So the two do go hand in hand. But there is a very strong academic focus. We're currently rewriting the Key Stage 2 curriculum, and we're having 3 separate terms where one is there's a strong focus on STEM subjects with very much an engineering focus behind some of the subjects that they do and the projects that they work on. We're going to have another term on global world, so there'll be a big geographical focus, including all things global, not just sort of a traditional geography program. And then we have an arts and literature term. So the new curriculum is very exciting, very creative. The girls, I think, will feel very inspired. We also have a very strong push on our learning habits, and these are introduced by a series of teddy bears. And we have Persevering Pearl, who's one of our teddy bears, and we have Collaborative Clara, and we have, at the moment, our focus is on Curiosity Chloe, who is curious. So through these bears, we try and instill the absolute core learning habits that drive the girls' learning, and in that they naturally develop their academic skills. And I think that they thrive in this context, knowing that it's the skills that they're developing and it's not just knowledge that they have to learn by rote. Jane, I'm sure you have something to add.
Yes, I think what Julie and Tess have said are absolutely spot on. The academic, all things academic, well, that's our bread and butter. That's what we do, and obviously meet the pupils' personal needs alongside that personal development. We pitch high our academic levels across the whole school. So our average attainment is quite a lot above national average. So when we're planning the learning for the pupils, we're always putting in challenge and stretch. And we do have a strong stretch and challenge program throughout the school that's geared not only to our scholars, but open to those girls who really love learning, who have that real intellectual curiosity. We know academically we're pitching high because the girls do so well in earning academic scholarships across to the senior school, bearing in mind that we are not prepping them for entrance exams. Naturally, they're performing at an exceptionally high level, and they're successful not only in academic scholarships, but all the co-curricular areas as well. Within lessons, there's a lot of differentiation. It's so important that the girls feel secure in what they're learning, but also that they're taking responsibility for their learning too. So when you come and visit, you may hear said, or you may see images of paddling, snorkeling and diving, and that's the level set of the activities. So some of the girls may say, actually, I'm going to go for the diving activity because I really want to stretch myself. For those girls who like to sit back and just very nicely get everything right, then there may be a bit of gentle encouragement to say, well, you've been snorkeling for a while, how about taking a dive? But the reason we can do that is because of the size of the class and how well the teachers know the pupils, teachers knowing their strengths, teachers knowing next steps, where they need to encourage them. So yeah, really, really hot on academic and giving the girls, I think what we would say is we want the girls to be really secure as learners, really curious, and having that desire, that creative and critical thinking, developing those skills are really central.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, everybody. That is actually the end of all of the questions. So I think we will probably wrap it up. If anybody watching has any other questions, please feel free to contact me at either Heppel at headingtonschool.com or prepadmissions@headington.org. Most of you will have had my emails in the past anyway, so I look forward to speaking to you and hopefully meeting you in the future. I'll put Jane back on. So final farewell.
Yes, thank you so much for giving us your time this morning. And if you are considering us, I really would recommend you come and see us for yourself. Your key thing to look at is it's the pupils, how they are. Relationships between staff and pupils, it's always interesting to see how that interaction happens within lessons, and you'll be shown around and you'll see that as well. But I'd have loved to have been a pupil here as a girl, and I'm sure your daughters will too. Thanks so much for your time, and bye-bye from us all.
Bye-bye. Thank you.